from the stinky caravan to 2 record deals, has been a whirlwind of a time.
You know I needed you more than you could ever give to me. You know I wanted it all, body and soul, with you lying right next to me.
Being from a very rural place in Wales, being able to get into the music industry seemed, a million miles away. My mum was, what with her being very hardworking, she was very keen that I had a profession and I had something to fall back on if music wasn't, a possibility for me. I've always adored fashion. I've always been into art. I love to draw and paint, and I've always loved clothes. And although you might laugh and think that that's also a particularly obscure industry to try and get into, fashion seemed, was an exciting prospect as a job. If I was able to get into university in London, it would give me also the opportunity to meet musicians and try and suss out myself as a musician as well. So I interviewed to go to St. Martin's to do women's wear. I was offered an internship in Balenciaga in Paris, and this was 2 years into my degree. From that, I then got offered a full-time job. It was a really interesting world, a really fast-paced world, very hardworking. But I'd always wanted to do music, and the problem for me was, even though it was this amazing opportunity, my dream had always been to do music, and I felt if I didn't leave and give it a stab, I would always regret not trying. The women in my life, particularly my mother's side of the family, are very strong women, very hardworking. My great-grandmother, who I'm very inspired by, she had a real style, a real eye for putting the house together. It would be rammed with glass clowns, golden ornaments, china dogs, but all beautifully coordinated. And she would be sat there, head to toe in something sensational, velour tracksuits with diamante pockets. And on one occasion, she was sat there, head to toe in pink velour with diamante crystal shoes on, jet black hair, because she would dye it constantly. That side of the family is very inspirational to the way I dress, obviously the way I am as a person has been built by these strong women in my family. There's my mother is a very strong woman, and my Auntie Mary, who is, equally as glamorous. She has this beautiful hair, this wonderful dress sense, and she's always immaculate. And she has sensational clothing. She has these giant fur coats, these beautifully beaded coats. She's a real glamazon. And she and my grandmother are my style icons, if you like. That has been a massive inspiration to me.
I know it ain't fair to hold on to love, the love that's no longer there. I know it ain't right, I know it ain't fair.
I left Balenciaga I came back, went back to Wales, to my parents' farm. My brother was away somewhere, and I commandeered his bedroom as a studio. I sort of discovered GarageBand, and I made a 3-track demo. I didn't have a microphone at the time, and I didn't know how to record straight into the computer, so I was playing everything in the room and recording it through the little microphone at the back of the Mac. So I did this demo. I had given it to my friend from Wales, and her brother worked for a PR company in London. My now manager happened to walk in there one day looking for singers. He pulled a CD out of his drawer and gave it to my manager. So that's how I came to meet Pete and Joe, who managed me. They lent me 500 quid or something. And they said, give up your job now. I think I was working in a cafe at home at the time. They said, give up your job for, the next month or so. Go and write some music. And I went to live in my brother's backyard, an old caravan that was there. And it was horrible. There was a man who'd been living in it before me, and he'd only fried food. So the all of the walls were covered in thick grease. And there was a hole in the floor. The water didn't work. There was a hole in the ceiling. And it was pretty aged and decrepit, this caravan. Anyway, so after 3 days of bleaching it from top to toe, I got in there and started writing. And I sat there then for the next month and a half or 2, and just wrote all day, all night, occasionally popping out for a cup of tea. And that's where I wrote the majority of what will be my album. Lost and Found is one of the tracks that I wrote there. The caravan was a very inspirational place for me because it was so horrible, it was so grotty. And meeting my managers, for me, was such a massive opportunity. And it really gave me the focus to sort of knuckle down and grab the opportunity with both hands and write my way out of the grotty caravan. My managers introduced me to Warner Brothers, who I signed with. So yeah, a pretty inspirational caravan, that one.